Hi, my name is Wade Wilson, and I'm the president of the Rocky Mountain Life Foundation. And today is a very exciting day. Today is the day that we launch Rocky Mountain Life Foundation. But before we get into any kind of detail of what that means, let me give you a little background and history on myself and what brought me to this day. So, for the past 20 years, I've worked as a registered diagnostic medical sonographer with a specialty in maternal fetal medicine. Now, what exactly does that mean? That means that for the past 20 years, I've been an ultrasound tech that is specialized in looking at high-risk pregnancies, whether that means mom's high risk or baby's high risk. But for the past 5 years, I have worked as a national trainer for pregnancy centers all across the country, training registered nurses on how to perform limited obstetric ultrasounds, with the idea that we want to show moms their babies because we know evidence shows that 90% of women that see their babies on ultrasound choose life. But as you can imagine, ultrasound is not a cheap endeavor. The average ultrasound machine costs about $30,000. And with the average pregnancy center running on a shoestring budget, that makes it a difficult proposition. And so as I travel throughout the country and as I go in and out of these pregnancy centers, large and small, I've been running into the same problem. It's a problem that I don't see a whole lot of people wanting to fix. And that problem is funding. And that's where Rocky Mountain Life Foundation and you come into this. So as I just mentioned, there are large and there are small pregnancy centers all across the country. Most of these pregnancy centers are run strictly on donations. They are run strictly on small donations and large donations. Now, there are large funding organizations that will completely fund a pregnancy center. They will buy an ultrasound machine. They will pay the entire cost of training those nurses on how to perform and use that ultrasound machine. They will fund even the salaries for the nurses that work at those pregnancy centers, for those pregnancy centers that qualify. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean to qualify for one of these large grants? Well, most of these large grants require that the pregnancy center be in a large population center, usually over 50,000 people. They require that there be a college or university within the community. They require that they see a certain number of clients. And they also require that there's an abortion clinic within 50 miles of the center. Well, as you can imagine, we just discussed that there are small and there are large centers. The larger centers have no problem qualifying for these large grant programs, but it kind of shuts the door on the small rural pregnancy center. And the way I look at that is I think that's a problem. And I think that I personally have seen the cost of that young mom having to travel the 50, 100 miles to the large metropolitan area, and all they run into are the Planned Parenthoods of the world, and they're lost and they're scared. I've seen the ramifications of that. And so, once again, that's where Rocky Mountain Life Foundation, and that's where you come into it. And in fact, when you look at this biblically, the Bible talks about this in Matthew 18:12. So in Matthew 18:12, it's the parable of the lost sheep. It goes like this: what do you think? If a man has 100 sheep and one of them goes astray, does he not leave the 99 and go to the mountains to seek the one that is straying? And if he should find it, assuredly I say to you, he rejoices more over that sheep than over the 99 that did not go astray. Even so, it is not the will of your Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish. So I look at this in the same vein as, this is the 99 for the one. So not that the 99 aren't important, in other words, the large pregnancy centers, but the large pregnancy centers are being taken care of for the most part. They qualify for these large grants. It's the small rural pregnancy center, or in the comparison to the 99 to the one. And so once again, this is where Rocky Mountain Life Foundation how it came about, and this is where you come into it. Now, I understand that not everybody is a registered diagnostic medical sonographer or an ultrasound tech or a registered nurse or an office manager. And I hear these questions all the time when I speak at churches and local groups about my pro-life ministry is they always come up to me and they say, how can I help? I really have a heart for the unborn. I really have a heart for the pro-life ministry, but I just don't have any of those skills, and this is your way. This is your way to help. This is your way to stand alongside, to come up alongside. You may not have the ability to counsel, to go in and counsel one of these women and let them know one-on-one that you love them, but by making a donation and showing them that even if it's not in your community, let's say you live in one of these large communities, for that woman to know that somebody in that large community loved her enough and her baby enough to donate to help her, it makes her feel less alone. It makes her feel like she can do this and that she's not the first person to do this and that there's somebody else out there. So I'm asking you, and I'm asking you to pray. I'm asking you to ask God's discernment on this. But I'm asking you to come alongside us. And so how do you do that? It's real easy. You just go to RockyMountainLifeFoundation.com and you click on that donation button and you donate as much or as little as you want. You can donate monthly. You can do a one-time donation. We've got a lot of information about who we are and what we do. And I just ask that you take the time. And once again, this is all for the glory of God. And this is the 99 for the one. God's taking care of the 99. I think he's called us to go after that one. And I'm asking you to come alongside us and help us with that mission. And I thank you for your time, and God bless.